talks. Nobody talks. Nobody talks Shiduchim. This is the Nobody Talks Shiduchim podcast.
All right, everyone. Here we are. We're back. Episode 74, Culture Shockers. We're joined today by Avery. Co-host is here. IJ, the co-host. We're here with Malcom. Malcom, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we're also introducing a new character. No, I'm kidding. Not a new character. A very popular and famous person, friend to the show. Sarah, the Hasidic Hipster, is here. Sarah, welcome.
Hey. Thanks for having me.
The people are clapping. They're clapping in the background. We actually have, clapper. Anyway, we're going to discuss these culture shockers that, people kind of run into in shidduchim, in shidduch dating. They're just these random idiosyncrasies and minhagim and cultures that people hold on to. The best analogy or parallel or just depiction here is like, go watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Literally. Watch that show and you're going to totally understand how this could happen to you. Mm-hmm. They're very real in shidduchim. There are so many different kinds of these minhags or these even rituals that families have, and we're gonna talk about here how to get through them. Right, Avery, what's your favorite culture shocker? What's your favorite one?
The Bris. The Bris. It's a start. It's overwhelming.
What about the Bris?
It's just a big controversial take. Many people don't like it. I am all for it. It's health. It's beneficial to health. There are bagels and
I didn't know Brises were such a shidduch thing. It's a requirement.
Oh yeah, nobody wants to know who your Moel was. Pesach Kron word people. Now that you know,
he did me also.
Did he?
Hey, did he do you?
Nah, I was in Chicago.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna have to change my resume now. But
you put that on the resume.
No. What are culture shockers? What are we referring to here?
Culture shockers are these boundaries or these, like I said, minhagim that come off very odd and strange to, someone that maybe you're dating or someone from just a different culture. That happens a lot. You're trying to bring someone into your community, trying to bring someone into your family, or you're going into someone else's community and family. You're shidduch dating, you're getting to know each other, whether it's 2 weeks, whether it's 2 months, whether it's a year. And these rant. Yeah, Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I actually could see how the Bris could be a culture shock. The first thing that pops up to my mind is that in certain circles, people actually care who the mohel was, depending on his level of observance in Judaism. Of course, those are the more, more stringent circles, but it's actually a thing that I bet you guys didn't know.
I never heard of that before.
I hear that. I've heard of it. That's why I put it on the list. And that's why I have the best mole in the entire 7 kingdoms.
I have heard that there are cases where people have asked rabbis and they've told them that they need a new bris, they need to cut off some more foreskin.
Wow.
No way. That's crazy.
Oh, please don't do that. not with the collar.
Or just hatafas dam, which is just scraping it, which is what converts do if a non-Jew's already circumcised, then they convert to Judaism and they're already circumcised, they'll just irritate the area a little. Some people will do that.
Yeah, I heard that's been done. Someone wasn't Noach born with an aura? He was already circumcised. Moshe Rabbeinu.
Someone was.
Which one? Who?
I'm not sure who, but definitely one of our ancestors were.
I think Moshe was.
Yashka.
Yashka.
Wasn't he born with that? No. I'm joking. He's not really related.
Okay, fine. But let's get more.
Guys, can you talk about bro cuddling for a minute? Because
Wow, we're really starting on Brises and bro cuddling.
Bro cuddling.
Remember, this is a male female dating podcast.
Bro cuddling on the list?
Remember?
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is on.
I'll tell you why it's so awkward. Well, I'm married now, thank God. But when I was dating, first of all, I dated a lot of people, and it was a very challenging time for me. But I remember dating this guy who openly told me that he was okay cuddling his best friend. I was just a little weirded out, just because I was like, listen, I have no problem if you want to be with your best friend, but kind of choose, you know?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel about bro cuddling, because you guys are guys, but from a girl perspective.
Yeah.
I'm not a cuddler, only when it's Avery. You know, we can. Avery, do we cuddle?
When I'm lonely.
Okay, no, I'm kidding.
God forbid.
No way. I am not a cuddler. I hate that garbage. But Sarah, I'm telling you, like,
What
that was real. That was real in yeshiva.
Well,
these guys would get together and cuddle. Oh, it was disgusting. I wanted to throw up.
I went to yeshiva high school, and there was a dormitory. So during every break, during lunch break, during class, a lot of the time we would hang out in the dorms, and there were mattresses, there were beds because there were dormers, and people would often cuddle. It was a pretty common thing, and I wasn't so comfortable with it, but I did give in to peer pressure a couple of times.
What? Oh my God! Leave.
Wow.
I feel like it's not so bad, like, during that time, but if you're actively dating someone, it's a little weird.
You shouldn't tell them on date number one.
No, that's certainly something you don't
Well, we're
wanna put
representing Sarah, a lot of Sarah?
Yeah, Sarah.
Hasidic Hipster? I don't know how to call it. You know,
Yeah,
obviously.
Sarah, you got it.
You're a woman of valor with many names.
She was on the Women of Valor podcast.
Oh, yeah? And I'm sure...
I don't know. Were you? I don't know.
Oh, I have no idea. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you use those names to collect the many stimulus checks that have been going out for the last years, as we did too, which is
Avery
okay
plays
because we're
the
Jewish.
I'm
kidding.
Angry little Jewish man role.
No, but what was I saying? The little Jewish man.
You're saying something about cuddling.
Cuddling. Now let's get back into culture differences. Cuddling. Let's not talk about men because that'll make me have nightmares tonight. And will disrupt my sleep patterns. But let's talk about even with families, right? There's a big difference.
Yeah,
a gap
family
within
hugging.
the Sefardic community, how touchy they are. Are they even touchy? Are they cold? Right, the Ashkenazim generally, German Ashkenaz types, right? The Western world is a little bit less cuddly, less touchy-feely.
Yeah.
The Americans are very touchy, very into showing emotion.
I think statistically, there's been research on Americans generally, when you're talking to somebody socially, you stand 2 feet apart, Americans, whereas Israelis stand 1 foot apart.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and in regards to the Sephardi families, I feel like there are some cold Sephardi families that still do the touching and the kissing on the cheeks, but they're cold about it.
Right.
So it's a funny combo.
Because that is a massive culture shocker. Because imagine, like for example, my background. My immediate family. We love each other, but like no touchy, no huggy, no kissy, no feeling, nothing. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to like, at least years ago with, my, for example, just grandparents or like that generation or my uncles and aunts, like we hug them, we kiss them. We have some family that's overseas and they're more like they're European. They're European. I'm not going to specifically say where, but like just in like Belgium or just certain Sephardim, there's, you kiss a man can kiss another man. Like I never really, these things never really hit me until I was watching The Sopranos on HBO, and I started seeing that like Italian men kissed each other. And I noticed that I was like, oh, when I grew up where I was from, like, Italian men kissed each other. Like that was a big thing, on the cheek, not on the lips, obviously.
Your rabbi did not kiss you in third grade either?
My sixth grade rabbi gave me a kiss, like it was like a lovable, like, oh, like, he wanted the best for me.
Rabbi Epstein.
You're terrible.
Ohio.
Right. So I do think there's a distinction when there's a cultural component attached to it, meaning, whether it's you're French or Italian, like it's very normal to greet someone with a kiss on each cheek. But, if it's an American trying to get in on that, then, you know where it's coming from. So,
right. I mean,
that plays a big role.
That's the thing in the West. It's like more of a sexual, yichus problem, a yichud problem. That you have, like when you're trying to just kiss someone, it's interesting. I think most cave. Like the people who have come into my world, or at least maybe my friends who married into those families, like they would like they have to kiss. The kiss on the cheek. Women. Two men do this a lot. But also, like, women do this also. Women, will kiss each other on the cheek. And, in some homes, like, there were some girls I would date, that like we got to a point where maybe we were going to a simcha or where we were seeing each other, and like she was like, oh, by the way, like I don't kiss, when I meet. Like some women, like, well, they see each other, they'll meet and they'll just like kiss each other on the cheek, or they'll know each other, they'll kiss each other, like a cheek kiss,
right.
like cheek to cheek. So this is also something that's very unique to Malcom, you're from the Midwest. Did they do this over there?
I had an experience in the Midwest. My family was once invited to someone Friday night, and I think they were maybe conservative Jews, but they had this custom. I don't know if you could call it a minhag, but while they sang Shalom Aleichem Friday night, everybody at the table held hands. And my family, like I have only brothers. I don't have any sisters. We're very not like touchy-feely, emotional type of family. So to us, this was always like a pretty interesting thing that we would discuss afterwards who we had to hold hands with.
That is interesting. Wow.
Yeah. Sounds like something Yona Laster, one of our associate producers, would love to do.
Oh yeah,
Avery, book a trip with him.
I'll invite Bill Cosby down. Who else should we have? What other people that would like to hold hands with? At least it's hands.
Well, by the way, I just say in the Frum community, and obviously like we're all from Orthodox here, but like basically more, I'd say Flatbush, Borough Park.
How dare you?
Women don't kiss. Men don't. No one touches anybody.
Oh,
you save everything for under the chuppah or the yichud room.
Not necessarily.
I don't think so. I think some
Disagree.
people still do kiss in Borough Park.
They do.
Meaning like the cultural kiss.
The
'cause it
cultural
comes from Europe also.
Right, Sarah, at the wedding, like people have like
Men and women,
Yeah.
men and men, and women to women.
men to men, women to women. But I have not seen, though I remember my parents at my brother's wedding were beyond freaked out, of course, because they and their makatonim after the chuppah, they broke the glass and everything. My brother's in-laws came over to my parents to give them hugs and kisses.
Oh yeah,
And they're more modern than my parents are. At this point, they're almost the same. But and my mom was like freaked out, like, "Oh my god,
the father went to give her a kiss.
Mr. Stein
Or
gave me a
hug. At least
kiss.
a hug.
I don't know." My dad was like, "Oh, this is the best," My mom was like, "Oh, this
Hey,
is
I was at that wedding,
freaking out.
and his mother-in-law. I couldn't wait for my kiss, put it that way.
yeah."
But in all seriousness, yeah,
That is a
But
different
okay,
thing.
that Avery, you hit like such a topic right here.
Yeah.
That's such a huge thing. Like that, I don't know. Is that discussed? I mean, Sarah, you're married. Like, is that something you discussed with your husband? Like, when maybe you were like the wedding was approaching. Like, by the way, do your parents did they kiss? And a hug. Forget the kiss. Did they hug? Like the opposite sex of the other family.
So for me, we're both Sephardi. We're actually both Moroccan. So there's a lot of touchy-feel, a lot of warmth, a lot of yelling, excitement, commotion. Like there's just a lot of hype around everything. So we definitely discussed it. And to go even further, I was actually born and raised in France. Thank God I don't have an accent, but my family's like ultra French. And I remember I still have friends that are there, and I chat with them and we talk about these cultural differences. And I have a friend who's dating someone right now, and a hug is super sexual in France. Like much more than a kiss on the cheek, of course. Because a kiss on the cheek is a regular
tickets
greeting
to
there.
Paris right now.
Is it in the Orthodox Jewish community in France? Is it common that male and female adults will hug and kiss?
Yes, it's common.
Interesting.
Bonjour.
Yeah.
Bonjour.
And it's not, bonjour. Yeah, it's not done in a sexual way. It's just the cultural greeting. That's it.
Right. No, it's a cultural greeting. Yeah. Look,
look at Macron and his wife, right? Macron is how old? 40 something. The cultures are so different, and his wife is like 70.
70. Yeah.
So, and that's normal. Here, it's like and what is she like? She was his college professor.
He's the man. That's what he is. He's the man.
Yeah, I mean it's not so normal there either, but I guess it's clearly past it that he's the president.
They were in love. It's a beautiful tale,
Okay, it is what it is. I'm just saying it's not something that we do.
Like the greatest age, I think we spoke about this one episode, like the greatest age difference between, I think it was like 11 years between like an older girl and a younger guy. Like, or meaning like the guy wasn't even that young, but remember it was like someone in like one of these camps. So that was that. But Macron wins. Omelette du fromage.
Yep.
Let's look. I know all you perverts over here. Not you, Sarah. You're wonderful. You're our guest. But these two perverts here, they love talking about kissing and hugging and touching. Let's bring it to something more modest and something more sneeze.
I was actually going to bring up Sheitels, if that's cool.
Yes.
Because I remember not at all discussing that when I was dating, and I totally should have discussed it because there was an unspoken rule that once married, I would for sure cover my hair. That was coming from my husband. And for me, I would for sure take it upon myself gradually. And he grew up more embedded in the Chabad system, and I grew up much more Moroccan than Chabad. I'm a blend now, but I would say, I'm still primarily Moroccan, which Moroccan women, for the most part, in the mainstream Orthodox world, they're very lenient with hair covering. And I thought I would take my time. So it's just interesting things that we skip over when dating and things that we bring up. I think it's so important to put so many things on the table, during Shiduchim, and nobody talks Shiduchim, meaning nobody talks about these things.
Yes.
It's so important to talk about
You get it.
Yeah.
Hello, she gets it.
Hair covering is a good topic because I've heard people make the argument that it's the woman's mitzvah, so the man shouldn't really care about it. And I know that many Gedolei, Rav Moshe Feinstein's wife didn't cover her hair.
No way.
Rav Soloveitchik's wife didn't cover her hair.
No way.
Yeah.
These guys are holier than my neighbors, Sprinza and Flintza.
Yeah, she smoked a pack a day. She had tattoos.
What are you talking about?
Because she had to cover her hair. She was a guy, obviously.
No, she was a guy, right? No, hello. First of all, Malcom, I never realized that. And Sarah, hello, that's for sure. That's such a big thing because I can tell you, I was dating girls, even recently. Something just happened recently. The girl's sending me a picture of a techel, I guess as a joke. We were seeing each other, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, we have to have a conversation. I'm like, I'm not a techel guy, and we all of a sudden went into this discussion more than that, and we're going back and we're pontificating on and I was like, wow, I am not prepared for this. This is a culture shocker for me. I really what is going through your mind?
Yeah.
What?
It's a lot.
My question is,
a lot.
Do you think that from a man's perspective, if a man wants his wife to cover her hair, is it that he wants his daughters to have an example of someone who's observing the mitzvah of covering her hair? Or is it more of an ego thing that he wants people to think that he married a frum girl and so he's cool enough?
Ego thing for me. Good
I really
question.
think it depends who the person is. And I think it needs to be discussed both with the husband and the wife, the man and the woman.
They need to. Well, how should that conversation go? I mean, I would open up the conversation. I've had two maybe of this. I'm not married, never been, but I have opened up saying no matter how frum or modern the girl is, and I would say, look, I want to live in the frum community. I want to be an affluent member. I want my kids to enjoy the community. If we stay in town in a community that kind of expects it, I want you to have one. You don't have to wear it, but I want you to have one. If we're out of town, if we're going to go somewhere where it's just very not conventional, or it's just not, or it's more of an option, I'm like, then you could do whatever you want. But I feel like it's good to just follow the derech of the community that you're going to be in, primarily. So you kind of just don't set anything off, but also at the same time, you have to follow some kind of derech. Doesn't mean that has to be you 24 hours. But if you're gonna take your kids, I don't have any kids, but if you're gonna bring your kid, if you're auditioning your kids to go to preschool or yeshiva or whatever whatever it's called today, you're gonna go in a suit. That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah, that's when it becomes a problem, really, when people have kids and then the kids have to be in certain schools. But for the most part, if you want your kids in a certain school, it's because you yourself are holding at a certain standard. Mm-hmm. So it would make sense that standard is already aligned with you. And if it's not aligned, then take your kids out and put them in a different school or move up your standard, Yeah. But I think it's important, just what you said about wearing or having the sheitel or covering your hair when you're within the community and then not covering when you're without. I think it's important to understand why we're doing what we're doing and what the intention behind our actions are. Like, are we covering our hair or whatever mitzvah it is? Are we doing it for the sake of the community, for the sake of fitting in and belonging or being accepted? Or are we doing it because we actually crave a connection? We crave to connect to our infinite selves. We crave to connect to God. You know, what are we really doing it for? And I think that's also important to ask, you know, when dating. It's just important to understand what the intentions are behind every question, every cultural shocker that's brought about. Why is it a shock? You know, where's the person coming from? And those questions are super important.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you know, it's how you ask it, how you guide it. I mean, you tell me, Sarah, like, is a sheitel, is like tznius, because that's something, obviously, like, I'm a guy, I would just say, hey, it's not something I'm too understanding of, you know, like.
Yeah.
But is that like something that really, tell me.
It's so funny that we're talking about this, because it's like the most triggering mitzvah for me, because it's one of the hardest mitzvahs for me to keep.
I do not know.
No, it's all good.
I didn't plan anything.
About it. I don't know who this is going to hit, and hopefully this inspires, you know, the listeners out there.
I mean, that's good. That's exactly what we want.
Hair covering for me is super hard, especially because, well, number one, I hate Sheitels. They make me feel like I am a grandmother. Yeah, like they age like 20 years, like, and they completely remove my entire look. Like, a woman is supposed to have hair. Hair is part of her identity, her self-expression. And so covering my hair with more hair, I guess it's kind of like, it's okay, but I wish it was my own hair. But a sheitel is a nice compromise, I guess. Thank God. I wouldn't wear a tickle outside. It's just not something I would do. Maybe a baseball cap, you know, but not a tickle. So now that we have the hair, it's like this whole other question of what the heck is the point of covering my hair with hair? Like, come on. Like, if it looks seamless, it's like, what am I doing it for? And after I did a lot of research on this, like, I realized, okay, I'm not doing it for other people, because other people could assume that it's my hair. I'm actually doing it for God. Like, it's literally a personal mitzvah. I don't even do it because, I'm married and it's for other men not to see my hair. I don't do it for that reason. It has nothing to do with tznius for me. It has to do with the Kabbalistic concept that at the chuppah, at the marriage ceremony, there is an energy that the bride gets once the groom goes around for 7 times. And this energy stays with her forever as a married woman. And by covering, she contains the energy. So that was my favorite explanation.
I love that
I've learned about it. And that's what fits with me. But please, let me just tell you that it's a bitch.
Yeah, it's such a struggle, and like I think so many. Yeah, I think we're gonna start seeing girls really calming it down, because I can't tell the difference, and you know, I know where like where some of the girls I've dated stand, and it's let's just put it this way, it's a very very polarizing thing, you know.
Yeah,
Malcom, you said
I don't know. Just for some reason, what comes to mind is there was some research done about the BBC, the British Broadcasting Company. They used to have their radio show hosts wear 3-piece suits, and they required it when they would come in to record the radio show. And so, like, you could obviously ask, why is it? Nobody's looking at them; they're just listening to them. You know. So the concept is that the clothes that you wear affect your insides, and so they thought that, you know, if people are wearing 3-piece suits, they're gonna sound better. So I don't know, what you said reminded me of that concept, because even though, like, from an outside perspective, a lot of times Sheitels look better than the woman's actual hair. And so you could make that argument that what's the point of it? But I guess at the same time, the woman herself is aware that she's doing something special, and so it's affecting her just outlook on how people are looking at her and how she's perceived and how she thinks she's perceived. So it has an effect in that way.
To the other extreme, if we really cared so much about modesty and not being seen, we would just dress up in burqas. You know, like, what's the difference between that and what we do nowadays? We've already modernized what modesty is, right? In Europe, people didn't wear Sheitels, and then it just became tradition over time for whatever reason, because we really needed to differentiate between the Americans, because we are so fearful over being assimilated into the secular world that we made so certain that we look different that we created our own little businesses and industries that we can sell products that promote our frumkeit, such as Sheitels, such as white shirts and black pants, Like these weren't necessarily garb that we wore, and we've sort of industrialized the many institutions from Judaism.
Why? By the way,
unfortunately,
you hit the hammer on the nail right there. Like everything's just becoming industrialized. That I'm telling you. Like
it's not necessarily bad. What I'm hearing you say is that we're using all the physical things around us and actually elevating them. It's a very positive thing to take all these things that we have.
I mean, we're picking and choosing. I'm not saying that we are using physical things, but we're picking and choosing. Like if we really did care about modesty, like I said before, we do burqas. If we really wanted to look,
men wouldn't wear
very
tight
different.
Suits.
We wouldn't wear it. Right? We wouldn't dress up like the non-Jews do in our shuls. We wouldn't. So,
well, we do really care about modesty, but not the way the Muslims do, the way the Jews do. And God still wants us to have our individuality. With burqas, it's very hard to depict individuality. Here, we have the opportunity to express ourselves with colors and shapes and fabrics and textures, still within the realms of halachic guidelines.
Right. I mean, I guess we're getting to like a modesty, a tznius, argument or debate.
By the way, I don't know if the point of hair covering is necessarily. I don't think the reason for that mitzvah is modesty.
It's not. No.
What is that? Okay.
The explanation that I heard is that is that hair is very well. I mean, like at least historically, and probably may not be as applicable to the society that we're living in today, but historically, like genders were somewhat separate, and so once a couple got married, and so a woman realized her power. Basically, the women have a lot of power over men, and a woman doesn't fully realize that the level of power that women wield. I don't know how to write English. Until they get married and they realize like how incredible that sexual act has, influence that has on the man and like by nature and by extension on men in general. And so once a woman realizes that, so then after she's married, then the mitzvah kicks into like, whoa, I'm just gonna channel this power, and I'm not gonna take advantage of it. I'm going, and like hair is something which is particularly attractive, and so therefore. It's like, covering it is a statement of subjugation of power, not in like an anti-feminist way per se, but just in a way of like allegiance to your husband, I guess. I don't know.
Or to yourself even.
To yourself too. Yeah.
I love this hair conversation, but I do want to move to something a little bit less vulgar or let's head over to something a little bit more tznius than even that. So I wanted to tell you this one time I was in Eretz Yisrael. I can't remember the specific details, but we were assigned every few weeks. We were assigned places to go for Shabbos. So they would say, this week you're going to go to this couple, and the couples knew that the places we'd go. People know because the yeshiva. I went to TJ and OJ, but this was for TJ. They knew where, like they knew who they signed up. They had concurrently done hosting for the yeshiva. So anyway, I get to one of these. I can't remember the place. I want to say it was in Netanyahu. Netanya. I'm doing like Bibi Netanyahu. It's been so long. Netanya. I think that's where it was. I can't really. I'd have to ask the person, who I went with. So anyway, we're there for Shabbos, and like we get dressed, and. They didn't actually. We went to shul, I think, and we came back. And all of a sudden, like when we came back, we were ready to eat at the Shabbos table, and the family was there. The men I think it was a Sefardic family. I don't know, and they were all in their pajamas. They were literally in their underwear. They were all in their underwear, their boxer briefs, and this was the Shabbos meal. This is how we ate the Shabbos meal. And they told me, you must, change, whatever. So we kind of dressed a little bit more down. But this was a custom of the family. This was a major culture shocker. I have trauma from it to this day. Been checked into therapy. But this is also, has any of this ever happened to any of you people? Or
no.
Is this just one of my,
never,
random conquests that I've been on?
Pajamas? No.
No?
Nope.
Yeah, I almost feel like they prank you.
Okay, that's possible. That is very possible. But I swear, I thought like everyone in this neighborhood did it. Like, so that was very intriguing, I have to tell you, and was certainly, certainly something big. Let me tell you though, because while I was at this, house, I did notice one thing, that the men were wearing like very nice jewelry, and that's something that. I think I could speak a lot because I wear jewelry. I have a man cuff, a man bracelet. I have a Magen David Adom necklace. And, I could, during my yeshiva days, I would not wear these things. At least in yeshiva, I wear them like at home, or maybe I wear them under my shirt. But that is like not such a popular thing in certain areas, like certain Jewish communities where men wearing jewelry is like totally acceptable. Family emblems. It's a family emblem, basically. Like that's the family stone, the crescent. But like in most other from communities, it's like absolutely not. It's a guyish thing. It's sexual. It's dirty. It's you're a kaifer. You tell us, Sarah. What do you think about men wearing jewelry?
Once again, I really think it depends on the background that you're from. Moroccans.
What do the French Moroccans do?
Yeah, so I'm like a really blended background because I'm French Moroccan, but I'm also like a bit of Chabad. And in French Moroccan culture, the men definitely wear jewelry. They proudly wear their wedding ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in Chabad, the men don't wear any jewelry, like any. And I have this argument with my husband all the time because I want him to wear his wedding ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wedding band. And it's so frustrating because of where I come from and how it's like a must. Like both the man and the woman should wear the wedding band. But in Chabad, it's viewed as jewelry, which is viewed as Beged Isha, which is basically, not permitted for them. Like that's how they interpret wearing jewelry. So it's interesting because there is jewelry that's specifically designed for men. So that shouldn't be a problem.
Right. It's specific. And it's not like it just recently happened. Like the Kohen Gadol would wear the ring of, to stamp or whatever. It was some kind of like crescent to seal, letters and things like that. Like it has existed,
sure.
It's something I enjoy doing. It's something I like doing. Certainly, I think a lot of shidduch daters are a little shocked, even people in the community, like where I grew up. In the Bronx, Pelham Parkway, it was like very popular. Everyone wore, what was your family signature? That was like, your ring or your Magen David necklace, right? How about in the Midwest, Malc?
Midwest, I would say it's more common that people wear. A lot of people wear chains for sure in the community where I grew up.
I know. Popular over there, and Avery, how about in Shiduchim?
No comment.
You were a guy.
There's only one person in this neighborhood that wears it, and people are like, "What the hell is with this guy?"
Really?
He's sitting at my table. Nobody understands.
No, yeah, it's so uncommon here. Like, I'll go to shul. I'll stop by a shul, daven, and like people will be like, "Oh, you're wearing, the necklace. Like, what are you wearing a necklace for? What are you, a woman?" I'm like, look, I don't even know you. We're in a conversation right now. Like yeah. I'm like, you wear a watch. A watch is similar. No, I feel like it is some similarity. It's
similar, but because it serves a purpose more than jewelry, it's permitted. Like that's what I was saying. Like that's the argument.
I hear that.
I think it's discussed in the Shulchan Aruch. Like, I think that, if I'm not mistaken, the Ramah talks about jewelry that's like unisex, that both men and women would wear. And he says, I have to look it up. I think he says that it's like that's permitted. It's like it's allowed. It's not like a mitzvah or anything, but it's allowed.
Well, originally blackberries, just women used to use blackberries. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I was just gonna think about that's why we issued them, or
It does seem like it's a more Sephardic thing than Ashkenazic to wear jewelry.
Let's jump to something fun.
I thought there was something about
what's interesting.
Yeah,
like how men and women both wore jewelry back then, but only now men wear pants and women, still have to wear skirts in the Orthodox world. And just interesting, like, how do we know when to adapt to what? Like, we used to wear robes in the desert. We all wore robes. We all covered our hair, with like a bed sheet style way, like a bedouin way. Like there were no wigs. Like things changed so drastically, but how do we know what to take on and what to leave back?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That's a great question. I heard there was a story where the Stipler, who I think died in the 1980s, but he approached the Chazon Ish, who I think he died in the 1950s. So they were like the two Gedolim in Bnei Brak in Israel in the 1950s. And I think the Stipler, they were brothers-in-law, and they were two of the greatest rabbis. So the Stipler once approached the Chazon Ish, and he said to him that I think women should be allowed to wear pants nowadays because part of tznius is decided by the societal norms. And the Chazon Ish said, I think it's Yaharik Vel Yavor. I think it's like the worst sin. So interesting. But the Chazon Ish was known
I disagree.
to use that term exaggerated. So I don't think he meant it literally, but
the infamous.
There is definitely something to tznius being decided by society.
Speaking of the Stipler, right? Was it he who cursed the Kennedys or something like that?
I think,
right. Right. JFK is the one who took off the hat, which was part of the decadence of society, right? When he took off his hat and the Jewish community kept their hats on, right? This was, obviously told to us as kids that we are better because we kept our hats on and JFK didn't, and that's why he obviously perished in the way he did now. But
I thought it was like because it was a football. Like there was a football game and it was like Tisha B'Av or Yom Kippur, and the Jews went to go watch the game.
That's why.
And one of these rabbis cursed, this team, and then they got
the Buffalo
uncursed.
Bills. That was the Cubs.
Something like that. I'm saying there was
he cursed the Kennedys. They could all die young or something.
Well, maybe he cursed the Kennedys because they helped get the Jews to the game.
You ever heard that? No.
Yeah. Maybe. Possibly.
Somebody.
Well, speaking of hats, so black hats are for a major culture shocker. Like, let me tell you. Now, it just happens to be that Malk is from the Midwest. Is it okay if I tell people you're from the Midwest? All right, I'm from the Midwest.
Cat's out of the bag.
No, you're out of it. So I'll tell you that I have family in Chicago, in Skoka, and you have people there who are like the frommest, best Jews you've ever met. I don't know about now. There's a lot of nursing home. Machers over there. I was like, nursing home, Mamzerim. No, Machers over there. And there's a different, there's new Yiddish kind in that neighborhood. There's just different hashkafas. It's very, very all over the place now. But back in the day, you had the yeshiva, you had like this, ubiquitous uniform system people would follow. And not all of them would wear black hats. Not all of them would. But in New York, it's like a statement. Like if you're going to be, quote unquote, if you're going to be from, you're going to have a black hat. Similar to like Rabbi Wallerstein's of blessed memory. He would be like, I'm the cool rabbi without the beard. And he'd explained himself. Like, I didn't have a beard because, he's a businessman and his father didn't have a beard. And, so that is a culture shocker. Like the black hat, I know the Sarah in the Chabad community, I don't know how do they look at the black hat? I know there's a Becca, what is it called? There's a cartel.
Yeah, kapata. So it's hard for me to. I'll just share what I know because I grew up more French Moroccan than Chabad, and I grew up with sisters and a younger brother, so I didn't really experience the whole black hat, tzitzis, like all the men's mitzvahs. But I do know that as soon as they're bar mitzvah, a man starts to wear a black hat. And they put on tefillin not only on themselves, but they do it on everybody that they see. They also make their own kiddush. Starting at bar mitzvah in Chabad, a man is a man, and they take that very literally.
And they prepare young because when Moroccans are 3, they put on talesim already.
Yeah.
See, I have a Moroccan friend. I have 2 Moroccan, actually 3. I have 3 Moroccan friends. And
nice.
My ex is Moroccan.
Oh, wow. Okay, we'll have to chat about this off air.
Oh yeah, off air. We're on off air, everybody. I don't know. There's something I'm just. I get the Moroccan people. Like we lost. We're not in our country anymore. Here we are in America, and like we're trying to figure ourselves out. And like we love everybody. We don't hate. Like we hate the schmucks out there, but like no one we like everyone else. So I don't know. I feel like we have a lot in common, me and the Sefardic, and the Moroccan community especially.
Yeah, I also feel like a lot of Sefardics today became Ashkenazified because now we're one generation out of whatever country we're in.
Yes,
so,
I agree.
Yeah.
Here's I know we have like a few left. We have a few more minutes. Asking, is this still reality? I don't know. Asking the father permission to marry the daughter. Is this still something done? Anyone can jump in on this. Or is it just on TV? Dun, 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 dun.
I don't think so.
Do people
but I think
still
it
do
would be
that?
a nice thing to do. Like, I don't know if it's halakhically permitted. I don't know enough to answer that, but I think it's just a nice gesture.
So maybe both parents, you're saying? They to ask both parents.
Oh, you're saying in that regard.
No,
in general.
both. No, just the father or both parents or just even asking in general.
Yeah, do people even ask in general? I feel like we've become so independent. Also, we're dating at an older age nowadays.
Right.
So, we're more independent, and a lot of people even pay for their own weddings and really live their own independent lives.
Yes,
I think it would definitely, so it depends on the relationship they have with their family.
I hear. Yeah. No, right. I hear that.
Yeah.
Right.
What if they say no? What if the father says no?
What if the father, and the girl says no? Well, I'll tell you what. I'll show up at their house anyway. I'm going to marry her.
Yeah. If the father says no, it's, when you don't get the parents' blessing, it's not the best to move forward. People don't end up
for Freud's kid.
Yeah, we were saying on the. We were just talking about that.
Not, so.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you one thing. I actually went out with a girl recently, and not like recently, like within the last year. A follower of yours, Sarah. Follower of yours. She's a mini influencer, and I was like gaga about this girl. A lot of good stuff, but she actually told me that like she wasn't. I wanted to discuss like marriage, with her, like what it would be like. Avery's rolling his eyes like he's heard this story 100 times. And like I tell you, the girl, her father couldn't get over the fact that I was 11 years younger than him. So for those reasons, they were both out. Like Shark Tank, they were both out. So that, I mean, I hear it, but like it's just
kind of crazy.
It's crazy. Shame on them. They're stupid. I hate them. So age is something also. Age is something.
Yeah, age
also.
is definitely something. But
Like, that's a
age
big
between you and the girl, not between you and the father.
Right. So I was like 10 years older than her and like 11 years younger than her father. So that's where I kind of I was like, at least I'm younger. I'm younger than her.
Weird because you're only 20.
I mean, I'm younger than him.
I thought that was.
I was saying I'm younger than him. That should be okay.
What do you think is the cutoff for age?
Love has no boundaries. Love.
I would disagree with that. I would say 10 years is the cutoff.
There
That's
you
my
go. This
personal
girl was
opinion.
10 years. Me and her were 10 years.
Yeah, I just think that I don't think you should like rule something out ahead of time because of age. I think you should probably give it a shot if it sounds like it could potentially work out. But the question is, will you have enough to talk about? Because at the end of the day, you're not gonna relate on pop culture references if you're too far apart. You're not gonna relate on like a lot of the things that you took advantage of. I don't know. I've dated people where I grew up watching Boy Meets World. You know that show? Boy?
Oh, I love that show, Boy. When it's Boy Meets World.
And people don't know what Boy Meets World are anymore. It's not like a given. So
Is that Corey and Tobago?
Right.
yeah.
What did they have on French TV, Sarah? Or you said?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I also don't get all the cultural references because I'm from a different country. So it's funny
you
that
speak
it's not
such
only
good
age,
English.
but
Like
culture.
I can't even imagine. When did you come to America, if you don't mind me asking?
Thank you. When I was 10.
Oh, so that's pretty.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty.
Yeah,
like,
so I have like
50-50.
my whole childhood, like all the nursery songs and like preschool songs, like I don't know. Like the Jewish ones and the non-Jewish ones are completely different, which is funny. It's funny because I was a preschool teacher a few years back and I had to learn them for myself and then teach them. That was interesting.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah.
You had to learn them. I like that. That's funny.
Yep.
She had to learn
Yep.
the songs, dude.
Wait, what songs? Like Itsy Bitsy Spider?
Yeah,
What songs do you have to learn?
Everything. Itsy Bitsy Spider, Uptown, Downtown, there's kosher food, Hashem is
The
here,
Wheels on
Hashem
the
is
Bus.
there, like all the basics.
They don't have Hashem is there. Hashem is there in France.
The wheels
Well,
on
they
the
don't
bus.
have it in French. They don't have it in English. I mean,
Allah's here and Allah's there. And, no, that's more of the French.
no, they actually don't have it.
At all.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm saying we have a different, like, different type of song that says the same thing in different words, but it's not the same song.
Fascinating.
Do they have any? No, they don't have it. They don't have it. It's very different. America has a lot more.
What is the biggest difference?
Jewish
in the
creators and singers.
What's the biggest difference in the French community, between the French community and the American community? American from community.
The very big difference, I would say, is the mannerisms. For the most part, I find French people to be more reserved, a little bit more to themselves, and a little more closed. American people are more loose, more out there,
blunt,
less tense,
and
just more full of expression.
Oh yeah.
Is dating in France? Have you? Well, you were 10, so I guess you weren't really of dating age.
But I did date French guys, like French guys from
France. What's it like over there?
French.
Oh, wow.
What's it like?
Yeah. So what's that like?
Yeah, it was definitely.
If you don't mind us asking.
It felt. Yeah, no, not at all. A part of it felt really familiar, so that felt really nice and grounding. But another part also felt alienating because I missed on the whole like teenage years, so I had the childhood similarity and familiarity, and I was aware of so many things, but I also missed such a big gap that there are certain terminologies and like slang lingo and just pop culture, like you were saying, that I missed out on. And the culture in general, like I said, like just people are more refined and just tense and to the point, and they don't say what doesn't need to be said. And it's a different culture. It's more refined. And that it was hard for me. I know I have both in me, so I was able to relate, and I definitely, I've dated quite a couple of French guys, and we've dated for like, I would say, a nice amount of time, but like, it didn't, I mean, my husband happens to be, he speaks French, which is awesome, but he's born in the U.S. His parents are born in Morocco, so I really got a cool blend.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, he speaks French. You probably connected on that. That's what you connected on. He spoke for like, he know a little bit of the culture, it sounds like. Well, that's what we were discussing in our previous episode. We were talking about, our last episode was history of Shiduchim and singles migrations. That was last episode where we had, and in that episode we were discussing this globalization, that on top of technology, and specifically, I mean, WhatsApp and Instagram, that has like really changed shidduch dating, or at least the relationship between a single and a shadchan. You also now have this, the globalization factor, and next door to you, the person's from Morocco, from France, from Israel, from China, from Belgium, from Norway, from Kentucky. And you can't. How are you supposed to find something? How are you supposed to find a connection with this person? Like, you're not. It's just it's just like going to be like, in some ways, like for most people, it's just going to be like the one. Like it's just going to be from Hashem. Like it's literally, it's going to be like you're meant to be soulmates. You and this person. Like maybe you can't just build a relationship out of nothing or just a little bit like it used to have been done.
Yeah. I think attraction is...
definitely.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go for it. No, go for it.
I was just going to say a quick point that I don't think that attraction is logical. So even though we could question about, okay, do you have this? Will you have this in common? Will you have that in common? At the end of the day, attraction is not a choice. So you just feel attracted to certain people and you don't feel attracted to other people. And so it could be temperament. It could be anything that you could try to explain logically. But at the end of the day, there's always going to be an element of I can't quite explain exactly what it is when you're trying to explain why, like why you feel attracted to someone. It's just like, I just like them. You're right.
100%.
Yeah. No.
It's coming from a deeper place. It's not really physical, and people tend to blend attraction with something that's physical, but it's a really deep connection, almost as if you've met that person before.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, amen. And just the last topic I wanted to get to on these culture shockers, Pesach, just Pesach. Forget the vacation part. Pesach in general,
Ooh.
Like this is, by the way, Pesach. I grew up out of town. All right. And what everyone did in my neighborhood was most people went to their siblings or their in-laws or their parents, as the Beis Yaakov girls say, the parents. So there was a lot of people went away. So being out of town, like my parents would book a Pesach program. I remember how it used to be, gefilte fish and, Bubby and Zadie everywhere. Like, that's how it used to be. Now it is insane. Now, if people want to see what a Pesach program's like, they can follow Sarah. No, I'm kidding. I'm putting on the spot, but they can, they know where to find. They know where to find, watch that movie, Sodom. But like Pesach programs like are defining. They're defining now. They can define people the way people want to live. That is such a culture shocker. I mean, besides the fact of like food, there's different foods you could eat. Sefardic, Ashkenazi. You've been to these programs, right?
Yeah, I have been to one really high-end Pesach program as a working camp counselor when I was single.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I definitely got a great deal, great end of the deal.
Yeah.
It was insanely luxurious, like something that I have not been used to before. Because for me, Pesach with my family is only with family. And for Moroccans, it's only with family. So just because we value family and it's not going to be done, in a hotel or in a program where there's other families, it's very much focused on going around the table, sharing our personal experiences and interpretations on the Agada. It's a much more personal experience. Do I appreciate going to hotels? Yeah, I think it's really, really awesome. Programs are really great. One aspect of programs that reveal a little too much is that they reveal the status of people financially or misrepresent, because a lot of people spend money they don't even have on these to go on these programs, and that could be very misleading.
I know. Every year I get to like Pesach and I'm like, should I stop paying rent, move back to my parents' house, and just afford this 1 week of luxury? Like, should I do this? Like, I want to party with, we used to go with my family, and it was affordable, and it was fun, and it was nice. I think it was very tznius in a way, or at least just, content. It wasn't like how it is today. And like, no judgment. I get it. I know Jews want to party. I know Jews want to party. Just partying together is just a lot for me, at least.
Yeah. And of course, there's different ones that have different, energies and different levels. But there's definitely some that are like extreme today that are borderline. You don't really feel Pesach.
Yeah. That I'm okay with. We don't need to feel Pesach. No, we don't need to feel Pesach. We just need to I need to be eating something and it's totally made from matzah or some chemical, and I'm like, oh, this is bread, and I'm good. And
potato flour.
Potato flour. This thing, I grew up. It's not even fair. I grew up and we had macaroons. I grew up in the Altaheim, macaroons and cardboard matzah, and now they have all these delicious things. It's just not fair.
Yeah, I can relate.
Right? So I don't even know what do they have? Matzah croissants over there in France and Paris.
Yeah. Well, let me just preface by saying that the way Chabad people see Pesach is next level. If you want to hear about a culture shocker,
tell me. I was considering dating a Chabad girl, but now you got to tell me.
Go Brooks, eh?
I must tell you. Okay, first of all, everybody has their own levels of lenient and stringent, but people peel their vegetables. It's minhag Chabad to peel their vegetables before Pesach even starts. So, because the peel is considered chametz, because it may have come into contact with the pesticides that were in the store that were sprayed, and they were crazy. So stringent. They're so tense about it. But you know what? You definitely feel Pesach. And you feel it. They make the best food. No joke. The food is truly plant-based. It's truly wholesome. They don't need anything manufactured besides for the grape juice, and some people even make their own grape juice.
Oh
It's crazy.
God.
It's the biggest culture. For me, that was the biggest culture shock.
I went to a Chabad.
But thank God my husband doesn't do that. I'm saying, like, there's definitely different levels.
I ate at a Chabad family for one of the meals in Pesach this past year, and everybody got their own little bag of matzahs to start the meal with.
Yep.
Oh, is
you know
that
why?
a thing?
For Gebrux,
Do you know why? Yeah, Gebrux. If the matzah falls into, like, the plate, and the plate had a drop of a dip in it or water, it's not even Gebrux. Gebrux is considered chametz for Chabad.
This
So
is
meaning
like considered treif.
it's considered chametz, just like chal v'yisrael is considered treif. You know?
Oh my God.
Chal v'yisrael, by the way, just jumping to that, OUD is like the biggest no-no. Like, someone could literally be sleeping around a girl wearing jeans, not tznius, but she'll keep chal v'yisrael. Like, there's certain things in certain cultures that are just unbreakable.
Like a big no-no, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A big no-no.
Yeah,
in
my young Israel life, it's cutting in line in Kiddush, cutting the Kiddush line. If you do that, you are done.
wow.
You're a kaifer, you're
wow.
a mamzer, you're a bigot. They out.
See, it would be funny. Imagine I came to that show not knowing that and just casually,
It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. They would, that you're out. That's it. Like.
Wow. I definitely want to try that.
There's just the family of the Shalah, who I don't know when he lived, the 1700s, 1800s. He was one of the rabbis that held that turkey was not kosher. So he has descendants that are not religious whatsoever, but they know that family tradition is we don't eat turkey. So they'll eat ham, but they won't eat turkey.
And they were discussing at one time whether birds should be fleischigs or parv.
Yeah, that was a discussion.
When did they announce? Like, when did they?
That was in the Gemara's time. There were some rabbis in the Gemara held it was parv, and some held it was Rav Yossi Aglili or something held out it was parv.
That's interesting.
And his community thought it was parv, but everyone else thought it was meat.
So they went with fleish. They're like fleish. They're like, we have to support butchers, so we're gonna make it fleish.
Yeah, spilling enough of a protein, it's got to be fleish.
Yeah, basically, it's a pretty good rule, actually. Okay, I think we're pretty much wrapped up. Anything anyone else wanted to bring? Here's our we call this part our last moments. Anyone? That's it. You got to speak now, forever hold your truth. Crickets.
I think we're good. I think we covered a lot.
No, we did. Well, I'm so excited, and I'm happy that we could have everyone here. So we'll get to our closing in just a second.
Are you on shidduch date burnout? Getting some anxiety or just need someone to talk to about all those DMs and WhatsApps? Ahuva Shandelman is a licensed psychotherapist and the founder of Holy Shid. She treats clients with care, empathy, and a ton of shid. Ahuva can be reached anywhere, as she treats clients virtually and is also based in Rockland County for office hours. She can be contacted if you're interested via email, ahuvashandelman@gmail.com, or DM her on Insta at holy_shid. IJ and Avery love her. You will too.
A great time to shout out your store, Michal.
Style and Trend, please shop it.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today's episode has been sponsored by Style and Trend out in Lakewood, New Jersey.
Right.
They have some of the most top women's fashion trends, styles. Get your tops, get your bottoms, get
IJ
your
gets his
hats.
tops there.
What else? Shoes. They
No,
sell shoes
accessories,
too.
beanies. We got jewelry.
Okay,
All the fashionable Instagram brands that you see
Mention
on the
nobody
gram.
talks Shiduchim and get a discount.
Yes,
Exactly, 10% off.
Okay,
We
10.
should do that
We're
for
giving
real.
10. NTS10 for 10% off. That's NTS10.
Hashtag.
Tell Michal, Avery, IJ, and Tommy sent you.
Awesome.
All right, people. This has been another episode of the Nobody Talks Shiduchim podcast. We're so happy this episode to host Sarah, the Hasidic Hipster. Sarah, where can people find you? For some of our audience, several thousand people. Some of them don't know where to find you. Where should they find you at?
People can find me on Instagram at Hasidic Hipster Girl. That's just HASSIDIC. A lot of people make the mistake do the CH. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Malcom, welcome back to the show. Avery's already sleeping over there. But people, 74 culture shockers with Hasidic Hipster. This has been a pleasure as usual. As I usually end off, happy face, smiley face, silly face. This is the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast.
Ouchie's Media Network.